What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be testing everything that I picked up in the Sephora savings event, and surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of makeup sitting here in front of me. I do have just about a full face of makeup, and I'm not gonna lie, a majority of it is luxury makeup, but I like to pick up my luxury during these savings events because I am a Rouge member, which means I get to save 20% on things that never go on sale. But there's just not a whole lot of new makeup coming out that I'm personally interested in. I feel like we got a ton of fun, exciting releases at the beginning of the year, and then everything came to a screeching halt around the end of September. Even the holiday releases haven't been super exciting. Maybe that's just me. Let me know all of your thoughts down below, but we are going to try everything on. I will give you my first initial impression thoughts. I'm going to try and do a wear test. I can't make any promises. I don't know, so if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not, but I will have everything linked and listed down below in the description box. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit, get my hair out of my face, and start playing with some new makeup. Alright, y'all, so I've already gone ahead and primed my skin with the Huda Beauty Easy Blur Primer. This is not a new to me product. It is available at Sephora, but I've already tested it, reviewed it, but I didn't pick up a new primer, so I just went ahead and went in with that one. But I did pick up a new foundation. So this is the Dior Forever Skin Perfect Multi-Use Foundation Stick. This is supposed to have a natural finish, up to 24 hours of wear, and all-day hydration. Now, I am not the type of person to wear my makeup for 24 hours, but I do like to get a good 10 to 12 hours wear out of my makeup, and I like the hydration aspect of it, and I like the natural finish. So I picked up the shade 1CR, which I believe is the lightest and like a fair rosy undertone, and we're gonna go ahead and try this on and see what it does. It's been a while since I have tried a Dior foundation, and I am so curious about this. That's a pretty good foundation match as long as it doesn't oxidize on me, but Dior has never had a perfect foundation match for me, so we're just going to roll with this one. Now, for reference purposes, I am 39 years old and I have normal dry leaning skin. I used to have very combination skin, and the older I get, the drier it gets, and I've noticed over the past maybe couple of months, my skin has gotten a lot drier. So maybe I'm starting to lean more towards the dry side of things. I don't know. For now, I still say that I have normal dry leaning skin, but generally I prefer a light to medium coverage foundation, and I want something that's going to have a natural skin-like finish to it. I absolutely do not like a matte foundation. They just don't lay well on my skin. They kind of age me. They really suck the life out of it, and it's just not anything that I go for. I also live in a very hot, humid climate. I'm down here in Houston, Texas, and it's hot year-round. We might get some cold weather here and there. It kind of gets down a little bit, like today it's in the 80s, but for the most part, it's gross outside. But so far, this is going on very nicely, very smooth. It's not dragging on my skin. It doesn't feel heavy. It does have a fragrance to it, but it's a pleasant fragrance in my mind. I don't mind fragrance in my makeup, but if you're somebody who does, this may not be for you. I can really only smell it when I'm going in around my nose, so it's not anything that's like super potent and kind of lingering. I'm sure it'll go away, but so far, I really like this. That looks absolutely beautiful on the skin. It definitely feels hydrating, but it doesn't feel like greasy. It doesn't feel like it's going to just kind of break apart, and it's not sinking in to anything so far. Alright, so for concealer, I did pick up the newest one from Westman Atelier. This is the Vital Skincare Concealer. I picked up the shade Atelier L1, and this is supposed to be a buildable coverage under eye concealer, clinically shown to reduce the look of dark circles, featuring serum strength skincare to hydrate, visibly brighten, and soothe the skin. It's going to have a medium coverage, natural finish. It's a liquid. I love the component on this. This is so heavy, so luxurious, and it's nice and tiny. but I actually picked up quite a bit of Westman Atelier. I've really been wanting to take kind of like a deep dive into the brand. There's still a couple of other things that I didn't pick up, but this is probably the newest product that I did pick up during the sale, and I was so curious about this. I've heard a couple of people talk about how much they love this concealer. Martina Lily, if you watch her, she is an Australian content creator. I absolutely love her. I could listen to her all freaking day. She loves this concealer, and she's like a go-to for me for luxury makeup. I do have a little bit of an obsession with luxury makeup, but I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out with a brush. I may have put on too much, but we'll see. I will say this does feel nice and lightweight, hydrating, a little cooling on my skin. I do have very dry under eyes, or probably the driest part aside from my lips on my face. So I like something that's going to give more hydration. I don't like anything that's too thick or too heavy, but I also don't want anything most days that's going to give me like no coverage and be super liquidy. I have multiple makeup personalities, so I have days that I want like full beat. I want to have that full medium coverage. I want to have a bright, vibrant, fun eye look. And then there's the other side of me that wants something a little more subtle, kind of on the no makeup, luxury, maybe a one and done on the eye. So, you know, depending on my mood, depends on how I like to do my makeup. So I just like everything personally. But as far as complexion goes, there's something about luxury that just sucks me in every single time, and I can't help it. All right, that went on absolutely beautiful. It's sitting very nicely under my eyes. It's not sinking in to my lines under here. And I'm gonna kind of wait a little bit to set this, because when I was watching Martina Lily take her deep dive into Westman Atelier, she said this is one of the ones that she does not have to set with powder. It just lays beautifully under her eyes. But I do have a new powder that I want to use under here, so we will, but we're gonna come back to it and we're gonna move on, because I picked up the Dior Forever Skin Contour Sculpting Face Stick as well. And I picked up the shade Light 01, and let me look up what this is supposed to do. Hold on just a second. Okay, so this is giving the same claims as the foundation. It's supposed to have up to 24 hours of wear, hydration, medium coverage, yada yada. But I picked up the lightest one that they had, and it is a little bit more on the cool undertone. I'm not big into like sculpting my face with contour. I do more of like a bronze tour. So we're gonna see. Oh, this, I love this component. It is so sleek. This one is all matte. It doesn't have the silver on it. And this is the shade that I picked up. So that's what it looks like. It's looking very warm on camera, but it's definitely got that cool undertone to it. So this is going to be like a perfect shade for a bronze tour, like I said. It really reminds me of the shade of the one from Westman Atelier and the shade Biscuit. I really enjoy that one. And there's also one from ABH that I used to use for years and years and years. I actually think it is their foundation stick maybe, but that one was in the shade, I believe, Fawn. But I'm gonna go ahead and just pick this up on my brush, because this does feel a little bit more on the stiff side and I don't want to lift all my makeup. So I'm just gonna pick this up with a Makeup Forever. It's actually a foundation brush, but it's perfect for cream products. And I'm just going to stipple this on my skin. Holy smokes, that is beautiful. It is just melting into my skin. And this is what I love about luxury. Yes, you pay more for it, but the formulas are so sophisticated, and 90% out of the time, they just perform flawlessly. I have come across some luxury makeup that I'm just not impressed with, but for the most part, it's some of my favorite products. I can't help it, y'all. I am who I am. But that is beautiful. I really like the shade. It's not so cool tone that it's pulling gray on my skin and making me look sickly, but it's not too warm where it's really putting a harsh contrast and making me look like I have a horrible fake tan going on. That went on absolutely beautiful. It really melted into the skin. It definitely has more of that skin-like finish to it. And I do want to note, this has the same fragrance as the foundation does as well. I could smell it when I was going around my nose, but I didn't smell it when I was going around the perimeter of my face. So again, not a super strong smell, but it is there. But let's go ahead and move on to blush. So for blush, I picked up a Westman Atelier Petite Baby Cheeks blush stick. This is in the shade Petal. I have been eyeing these for the longest time, and I love the fact that you can get a little baby version of this. So this is what the component looks like. It looks just like their contour stick, except this does not have the same magnetized lid. It snaps instead. But let's do a swatch of this on the back of the hand and see what the shade looks like that I picked out. Oh, that is so pretty. That is a very me shade. It's pink, but it's got a little bit of that cool mauvey undertone to it. So let's go ahead and try this on. So again, I'm just gonna go in with a brush right off of the little stick, and I'm gonna start by kind of pressing this in the skin, kind of dabbing. I don't wanna do swiping motions because I don't wanna risk moving everything around. And I've always found that even if the brands or the formulas work really well together, if you start to swipe too many creams or liquids on top of one another, they are going to move around. It just is what it is. But that is going on absolutely beautiful. Again, it is melting into the skin. It has a little bit of a soft glow to it. It doesn't feel sticky. I think this is going to dry down to a powder finish. Let me see if it claims to dry down to a powder finish. I'm usually on my game better than this, and I'm just not doing too well, am I? But according to Sephora, if I can get to it, this is going to be a blendable formula that melds with the skin for hydrating natural finish, medium coverage yet again, which I'm finding really odd that we've got contour and blush that's telling us it's a medium coverage. I'm like, you better give me some coverage because that's what you're supposed to do. But that is beautiful. It went on so nicey, it went on so nice. There's no patching. It didn't grab, it didn't lift. I love that sheen that it has, and so far my face does not feel sticky at all. Even where the foundation is, like if you have combination or oily skin, I'm getting all jumbled up in my words, but if you have combination or oily skin, you're probably going to want to set this because it is going to move around once all your oils peek through. But if you've got normal to dry skin, I don't see any reason to set this. We are, because I do have new powders to test out, but I will in the future test this out without it. But that is absolutely beautiful. Love it. All right, before we do highlighter, I want to powder like my under eyes and just like my forehead and around my nose. I don't want to powder the outer perimeter of my face. I don't usually have issues with like sweating or my makeup breaking up. I have deep lines in my forehead, and sometimes if I don't set it, it will break up or sink into them. And I do want to test this, like I said, without powder, but since I have new powders, we are going to test them. So the first one that I picked up is the new Givenchy powder. Now, I picked this up because everybody has been saying that this is so shiny. It's almost like a highlighter, and I wanted to know. I was so incredibly curious. I have the original formula right here, exact same shade. Both of them are in a mini. So I thought we could do like a little side by side and see how shiny the new one actually is and how it's going to wear under my eyes, because I love this powder for under my eyes. Generally, I like a pink powder under my eyes, but sometimes I don't want that extra brightness. I just want everything to kind of melt together. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the original one under my eyes really quick. Mine is kind of used and gross, and it is what it is, but we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison. I'm also gonna swatch this on my hand because I don't know, like I've seen some people say that this is ridiculously shiny, but then I've seen others say that it's not so bad. It actually looks really pretty. It has a nice reflection to it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll like it because I don't like to have a flat matte look. I like to have a powdered face, but I like to have more of a radiant natural finish to my skin. So we're gonna test this out and see what it does. So that is the original Givenchy powder under this eye. Oh, I do have the shade Satin Blanc, so it's the one that is for fair to light complexion. The other one, which I think is Mussolini, just looks like it's gonna be too light for my skin. So I didn't pick that one up, and I really enjoy this one. So I'm just kind of powdering right under here, and then I'm gonna go back and kind of sweep that excess away. And we're gonna jump in to the new formula. But you see how beautiful that is? Oh, it's gonna crush my soul if they ruined this powder. So let's open up the new one. So this is what the packaging looks like. Let me see if it's the same packaging or not. Let's see, let me get my lid back on the original one. Hold on. Okay, so here is what they look like side by side. This is the original formula. This is the new formula. So it's the exact same packaging. There's nothing different about it to tell it apart, except for the number on the bottom is a little bit different. But let's see what this is going to look like. So let me open this up real quick. All right, so we've got it open, and it looks the same in here as it does in the original formula. Like if you look at it side by side, this one might look a little bit more vibrant in here than this one does, but let's go ahead and do a swatch on the back of the hand and see what this is gonna look like. So I'm gonna put a little bit into the cap. More than that might be nice. There we go. So I've got a little bit in the cap right there. And let's do a swatch of the original formula first so we can do a side by side. So there it is on my finger. I'm just going to swatch it right there. Obviously it's not going to show up because it is just a powder, but that's the original formula. So let's go ahead and pick up some of the new formula. Okay, so on my finger, that's what we're looking like. And then swatched out on my hand, that is the new one. So yes, it has more of a radiance to it, but it's almost like a satin radiance. Like it doesn't look like a full-on highlighter, especially I think if you were to go in light-handed. I'm sure if you were to like pack this on, it could be very shiny, and if you have very oily skin, you may not like it, but I don't see where it's overly shiny. To me, it's giving hourglass setting powder vibes, and I absolutely love that powder. So let's do a little bit of this one under my eyes so I have the clean little puff, and I'm gonna go in and we're gonna see what this looks like, because if I put anything too shimmery under my eyes, it will 100% accentuate texture and just not look good at all. Let me get a little bit more because that did not pick up very much. All right, here we go. Much better. All right, so that went on really nicely. Oh, I definitely think it's accentuating. Do you see that? Do you see how this under eye looks so smooth, and this one all of a sudden, like all of those wrinkles are right there? Do you see that? Is the camera picking that up? I hope so. Uh-oh. Okay. So maybe they did not improve the formula. We all knew that it changed, but did it really change for the better? Oh man. Yeah, I definitely think my under eye with the original formula looks better than the new formula. Excuse me. I don't think it's horrible, but it's definitely accentuating those little wrinkles and crinkles under there. So I don't know, y'all. I'm gonna have to keep testing this, keep y'all posted, but based off of first impression, just like everybody else, I'm a little disappointed. It might look beautiful all over the skin, but for under the eyes, it's just not doing it. And yet here I am adding on more. Yeah, it's definitely like, look at that cast that it's giving too. Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah. It didn't look so bad on the back of my hand, but I hope the camera is picking this up. Do you see how it's like grabbing and it's like really shimmery right there? And this side is just so smooth and flawless. Y'all, I don't like that. I don't like that at all, but let's go ahead and move forward. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can kind of rectify that a little bit since we know that we don't like it. So I'm gonna pick up some of the original formula. I'm just gonna go over top. Oof, that is not salvaging. Do you see that cast it's giving? It's like giving this weird, like, I don't know, like lavender glow, and I don't like that at all. Okay, we need to move on. So let's go ahead. let's just move forward. We're just gonna roll with what we got going on. So moral of the story, not a fan of the new Givenchy powder. In fact, this might go back. I don't return a lot of makeup, but this little mini powder is not cheap, even with a 20% sale, and I will probably never use this again because I do not like the way that looks on my skin. So that might go back. But I have another powder. I know the last thing I need is more powder. I recognize that. I realize that. I am trying to get through the ones that I have. But hear me out. I picked up the Refi Skin Finish Water-Based Powder. Now, if you have been here and you've watched my videos, you've heard me talk about how much I absolutely loved the Becca Hydro Mist powder. It was one of my favorites. Even whenever I had more combination skin, I loved how cooling it felt. It was like putting water on your skin, but it wasn't water, it was powder. And when it gets really hot here, it was so refreshing, it was so hydrating, and I loved that stuff. And when Becca went under, I purchased 2 backups because I'm a psychopath, and I went through them. I used them all up. It was like the only powder that I used, and ever since then I have been on the hunt for one that is very, very similar, and so far I have not found one. I got one from Kojin Do that sounded like it was going to be kind of the same, and it didn't. It's a beautiful powder, but it doesn't have like that watery texture. I know that Hard Candy makes one, but I don't know. I've heard very hit or miss things, but one of you commented, and this was a while back, probably months ago, that the one from Refi was exactly like it. So I picked it up in the sale. It's been sitting in my cart forever. I picked up the shade 02 because according to the Refi website, it just has more of a cool undertone, and then 01 has more of a warm undertone. So Sephora says that this is going to be for medium to deep skin tones, but according to Refi, which I'm going to go with what Refi says, this one is going to be for cool undertones. So this is what the packaging looks like. This is like a matte finish, very luxe actually. I love the component, and it's got one of the little flip up things right here. Okay, how do I get into this? Okay, it's got the little sticker that I need to pull off. There we go. And this is what the powder looks like. So you can see it has a little bit of that pinky undertone to it as I kind of put it all over the place. But let's see. Y'all, it feels like water. This is so finely milled. Oh, I'm excited. I'm so giddy right now. I can't even express how excited I am. So we're going to put this all over the rest of my face. Well, not all over. I'm going to avoid my cheek area, but I'm going to do my forehead and around my nose and my chin. Oh, I'm so excited. Y'all have no idea. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dip my little puff in here. It does have the netting, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I can always get rid of that. Oh, yes. Y'all, it feels exactly like the one from Becca does. It feels like a refreshing drink of water going on your skin. If you've never tried it and you have really dry skin, or you just want that added hydration, this one is really cool, and we'll see how it wears. I'll let y'all know, but for now, first impression, I'm just really excited. I'm so excited to have found a powder that is just like that one. All right, so the powder is on. It looks absolutely beautiful. It really smoothed everything out, and it took down some of that shine, but I don't feel like I'm overly matte and cakey where I powdered down. I just feel like my makeup is more secure, and that's what I go for. I know I have dry skin, but with the humidity and the heat here, my makeup will 100% melt off my face if I don't set it down, but I love the way that that looks. So far we've got hits for everything except for the new Givenchy powder, but I have another new product from Westman Atelier. This is not a new one, it's been out for a little bit, but this is the Liquid Super Loaded highlighting drops. So I've heard really good things about these as well. I've really gotten into liquid highlighters, and I was just really curious about this one. Now this is another one of those that you can use it all over, you can mix it in, you can use it as a highlighter. I mean, really, you can do whatever you want with your makeup. There's no rules, but this one I'm really excited about. So it does come in a couple of different shades. I picked up the Yes, the pinky one. This is called Peau de Rose, and it does come in 2 other colors as well. And according to Sephora, this is a supercharged lightweight complexion enhancer with long-term benefits and instant ethereal glow, available in flexible shades. It's supposed to give you light coverage, duh. It's going to have a radiant finish, and it is a liquid product. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now I will say this is plastic, so it's not going to be that same weighty component as everything else, but the lid has that same weighty component. But let's do a little bit on the back of my hand. Okay, so that is what we are looking like. Oh, that's really pretty. It just has like a really pretty glossy effect to it. That's gonna be beautiful under makeup, mixed in all of that. Let me make sure I shook it up really, really well. I think this is going to be beautiful. Let's do one more little drop. Okay, that's better. I didn't mix it up very well the first time, because there we go. That's so much better. But look at that beautiful glow. Ooh, I'm excited about that. I will say this does feel like it has a little bit of like a greasiness to it. So we'll see if it dries down and how it wears, and if it's gonna move my makeup around and all of that. Let me get a sponge for this. I had planned on putting it on with a brush, but I think it's gonna perform better with a sponge. So here we go, clean sponge. So I'm gonna do, how do I wanna do this? Let's do a little bit on the sponge. How about that? We're gonna see what happens. So I got a little bit on the sponge, just like the tiniest little bit. And I'm gonna start by kind of, yeah, right here on the cheek. I think I'm gonna try the other side with my finger and see what that does. Yeah, let's just go in with the finger. I think that's gonna work better. Now I have a feeling this is going to be one of those that you're not gonna wanna put over powder. I will let you know I do have some powder right here, but it is kind of like grabbing and moving things around. So maybe this is gonna be better as a mix-in. It's definitely moving things around, and I don't know if it's because it should be mixed in with something better or if it's just not going to go over powder. But let's try the other side. So I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand, just like I did the first time. I'm going to pick it up with my finger, and we're going to kind of pat this along here and see what it does. It's going on, oh yeah, it's going on so much better with my finger than it did with the sponge. I think the sponge was a bad idea because, yeah, it kind of moved everything around over here, and I'm gonna have to fix that cheek. But I'm not having that issue on this side where I went in with my finger. All right, so I'm just going back over top with the same brush that I used to put my blush on. I didn't pick up any more. I'm just kind of hoping that I can rectify this situation over here. And yeah, it definitely fixed things. This might be one of those highlighters that, aside from mixing it in and putting it under everything, this might go beautiful under a blush. I do have some highlighters like that they just perform better that way. Once you go over top of them with the blush, it just kind of meshes everything together. So I definitely need to play around with this one more. So based off of first impression, I like it, but I don't know if I love it. But let's go ahead and move on. So before we do eyes, I do have a new product that I want to show y'all. This is not available at Sephora. This was sent to me from City Beauty. I am affiliated with the brand, and they came out with 2 new shades in their City Beauty City Lips Plumping Lip Glosses. So the first one that we have is going to be the shade Holly. This is going to be a deep red with sparkling finish that's perfect for the season ahead, and this one is available for a limited time. I am not going to try this one on today because it's not going to go with what I am wearing, but look at how beautiful this shade is. Oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous for the holidays. I love the City Beauty lip glosses, and they are so comfortable. They do have a plumping effect. I don't find that I really feel much of a tingle. I've said before I have a very high pain tolerance, but I don't really feel anything with these. But the other shade that they came out with is going to be Silver Skyline, and this is going to be a permanent addition to the line. So this one's not going to be limited edition, but this is a frosty cool twist on their classic clear gloss. It's going to be a sheer shimmer with silver glitter, and it's going to add an icy touch. So let's do a swatch of this one right here, and this one I will put on my lips because it's got that clear with a little bit of sparkle in it. Very, very pretty. pretty. So let's do a little bit of this on my lips because I need some hydration. And now that I have on all of my powder, this is perfect. I probably should have done a lip gloss or a lip liner first. I'll do that later. All right, so I primed my eyes, threw on some brows, and we are ready to do an eye look. So we are going to be playing with the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. Now this one I've actually had in my possession for a while. I got it at Ulta for free. I had a bunch of points. I had not originally planned on picking this one up because I thought it was very repetitive to what I already have, and it is 100%. It's a neutral palette, but I was in store and I thought it was so much prettier in person. I love Natasha Denona and I had to have it. So we're just gonna play with it in today's video. I will keep y'all updated in a future palette ranking video on my final thoughts, but I'm not gonna do a dedicated video, multiple looks and all of that, because at this point, this palette's old news. We've already had the Roxa come out and it's a neutral leaning eyeshadow palette. But I am gonna go ahead and start with this shade up here, which is called Mellow. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 212 brush, and I'm just gonna kind of fluff this into my crease. I'm gonna do a very simple eye look. I'm not gonna do anything crazy, elaborate, or exciting. We're just gonna do a very warm, neutral eye. All right, with that same brush, I'm gonna go into this mid-tone warm brown right here, which is called Fervor. So I'm just gonna put that in my crease as well, but I'm gonna concentrate it mostly on the outer corner and the outer portion of my crease. And I'm just gonna kind of fluff it into what we already have down, blend everything out, buff it, make it nice and seamless. And this is performing the way that I expect it to so far. And like I said, I saw this in person and I thought the color story was absolutely beautiful. And honestly, I might like this color story more than I do in the Golden palette. That one is very neutral leaning, which I appreciate. It doesn't have a whole lot of cool undertones or warm undertones. But this one, I like the undertones of this one, and I Need a Nude better. I feel like they're more flattering on my skin tone. But I do want to point out that I feel like this side of the palette over here is a little bit more on the neutral leaning side, maybe even, dare I say, a little cool undertone. So I don't know if the whole I Need a Warm really pertains to the palette as a whole, but this is definitely going to have a little bit more warmth to it. But I appreciate that it's not orange and yellow and like that. They're just very pretty, like camel color browns, saddle color browns, things like that. I'm going to bring that shade down onto my lower lash line as well, and I'm going to bring it about halfway across, just meeting up with what I have going on my lid. All right, so next I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is called Vim, and I'm going to pick that one up with a BK Beauty 211 brush, and I'm going to build up a little bit of depth in my outer corner. I don't want to take this look too dark, but I like to have that little bit of depth out here. So I'm just putting it right here in the outer corner, buffing and blending in circular motions, and then I'm going to bring it down to the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. All right, I think that looks absolutely beautiful. I like the blend that we have going on out here. I do want to point out that shade Vim that I just put on my outer corner, that darker brown shade. It is one of her creamy matte formulas, which I absolutely love. I know not everybody does, but I like the way they apply and blend on the lid. But let's go ahead and move on. So for the rest of my lower lash line, I think I'm going to go back into this shade up here that I used in my crease, which is called Ripe. Did I say that? I don't remember saying that shade. I'm sorry if I didn't tell y'all what that shade was called, but that shade is called Ripe. So I'm going to pick it up with that same brush again. I just kind of wiped it off, and I'm just going to very lightly go right along here, and then I'm going to prime my eye with some NYX glitter primer, and we're going to pop some shimmer on this lid. All right, so for all over the lid, we're gonna go into this multi-chrome shade up here. It's got this really pretty gold to green to red flip to it. Kind of a typical multi-chrome, but it is exciting to see more multi-chromes in mainstream brands. But this shade is called Phenomena, so I'm gonna show you what it looks like on my finger. Very smooth, very reflective. It does have kind of that wet feeling to it. And look at how gorgeous that is. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pick that shade up with my BK Beauty 203 brush per usual. I am going to spray that, and then I'm gonna put this all over my lid. So where it is, okay, there it is. All right, we're gonna give it a spritz. I'm going to just start by pressing this all over my lid, building up the shade, and then once I have that shade down, per usual, I can go back and start to blend everything, but that is so beautiful. Now, if you are an indie lover like I am, this is not going to be very impressive to you. I know I have this shade about 1,000,000 times over in my collection, but like I said, I get excited when I see luxury and mainstream beauty kind of step into this, because there's a lot of people that don't purchase indie or see beauty because they want to be able to walk into store and swatch it, see it in person, feel it, do all of that. And so it's exciting that we're starting to get things like this coming to brands like that, but that is absolutely beautiful. I love the way that that looks. All right, so for the inner corner, we're gonna go into, I think this one up here, which is called Fancy. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with a Singe Beauty EO1 brush. Let's do a swatch of it real quick on the back of my hand. This one feels nice and smooth as well. It doesn't quite have that wet feeling that that multi-chrome has, but it still feels nice and smooth. It doesn't feel gritty or dry or anything like that, and that is beautiful. Okay, so back to picking it up with my Singe Beauty EO1, and I'm gonna spray it with my MAC Fix Plus yet again, and I'm gonna pop this on the inner corner, and I'm just gonna kind of wrap it around down to my lower lash line and up onto my lid as well. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look using all these products, and I love the way that my makeup turned out. I think it's absolutely beautiful. My complexion looks flawless and healthy, and I really like that multi-chrome from Natasha Denona. I think it looks so smooth and beautiful on the eyes. Now, based off of first impression, I like everything that I tried today with the exception of that Givenchy powder. It just did not sit under my eyes right. You saw the side by side. It just had a cast to it. It really emphasized my texture, and it's probably going to get returned. I don't return a whole lot of makeup, but like I said, it was a pricey little thing and I will not use it. I can tell you right now, it will never get used again, but I am going to do an all-day wear test with this. I can't promise I will be able to do any check-ins. I've got a lot going on. I've got a lot of catching up to do since I've been so sick all week, but before I kind of check out and go throughout my day, I want to show you I used to finish up this look. So I did set everything with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Spray. I have such a hard time saying that. And then to finish up my eye look, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner in the shade Cinnamon, and then I threw on my YSL Lash Clash Mascara in the brown shade, and I changed out my lip combo as well, because as much as I like that lip gloss that I had on, it was very cool tone pink and it was clashing with the eye look. So instead, I lined my lips with a Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in the shade Iconic Nude and threw on another City Lips lip gloss over top. This is in the shade Pink Nude, and I think it just goes with the look better. So I'm gonna go ahead and go throughout my day, and I will see y'all in several hours from now to let you know my first initial impression thoughts. All right, y'all, so I am back. It is the end of the day. I have had this full face of makeup on for about 10.5 hours at this point, and I think everything wore absolutely beautifully. I don't have any complaints across the board with the way that my makeup is sitting now versus how it looked at the beginning of the day. In fact, I actually think it looks kind of better because it's kind of meshed into my skin and just kind of settled down, and it doesn't look so fresh and makeup-y like it did whenever I first put it on. Not that it looked cakey in the beginning, but it's just worn really nicely. But the foundation I think is absolutely beautiful. It definitely feels more hydrating, but it doesn't feel sticky. It doesn't feel oily or anything like that. I think it wore flawlessly throughout the day. It's not settling into the lines on my forehead and accentuating them. It's not rubbing off around my mouth, and even right here on my nose where my glasses sit, it didn't wear away, and that is a rarity for me to have a foundation that does that. As far as the concealer goes, I think this wore beautifully under my eyes. It's not caking up, it's not drying and breaking apart. It looks beautiful. I'm not having any transfer, and it's not accentuating the lines under there either. Now, as far as the contour and the blush go, I like both of these. They were very user-friendly. They kind of melted into the skin. They were nice and pigmented, but they weren't overly pigmented, and they were very easy to manipulate without lifting the product underneath. I do need to try both of these over powder before I can give you like my full thoughts on these, but first impression, I really enjoyed those as well. As far as the highlighter goes, I don't really have feelings either way about this. I do think it looks really pretty on my cheek, and I like the way that it looks whenever I applied it with a finger better than I did with the sponge, but I still want to play around with it. I want to try mixing it in with other cheek products, maybe mix it in with my foundation, wear it under foundation and things like that. So I need to play around with that more, but right now I'm just kind of, it's fine. It didn't really impress me, but it didn't disappoint me either. The Refi powder, I love this. You can tell whenever I applied it that I absolutely loved it. It felt very watery, but it didn't look powdery. It didn't feel powdery. It just kind of set everything in place and nothing budged. So I don't know if everything stayed in place because of the powder or if it was just a combination of everything. I need to try this out with other foundations in my collection as well. The Prism Libre reformulated powder from Givenchy, not impressed. This will 100% get returned. I'm not going to use it. This was too pricey to hang on to. I don't generally like to return makeup, but I will never reach for this again. It immediately accentuated the texture under my eyes, and it gave this really weird cast under there that I don't get from the original formula. So really disappointed with this, but I have to say it wasn't nearly as glowy as what I expected. I just don't think this is going to work out for mature skin. The eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona I think is absolutely beautiful. Obviously, I've only created the one eye look, but the formula is on par with what I know for the brand. I don't have any creasing, nothing transferred. I don't have any fallout. My eyes look just as beautiful now as they did at the beginning of the day. And the last thing that we have are the two lip glosses from City Lips. I love the City Lips lip glosses, so I already know that going into it. I think both of these are beautiful shades. I'm really excited about the red one because I love a red lip at the holidays. But I think that's about everything, and that is going to complete this video. So let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know what you picked up, if anything, in the Sephora sale. If you've tried any of these products, if you have, what are your thoughts on them? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel, because I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.